Hey, this is Sammy Reinstein, and you're listening to Conversation Starters. On this show, we talk all about bringing conversations back to B2B marketing and selling. Because if there's one thing we know about doing business in the revenue era, it's that the best customer experience wins.
Season 3 of Conversation Starters is brought to you by Really Good Sales Plays, a landing page built to inspire your sales team, whether they're inbounding, outbounding, or managing a deal. These plays are proven to generate pipeline and close deals, so you can celebrate more wins. Check them out at drift.ly/salesplays. Now, to the episode. Sammy, if you could leave for vacation tomorrow, anywhere in the world, where would you go?
Wow, that's a big question. I think I would go to Thailand because my brother is there right now and he's backpacking. So I would just probably join him on his backpacking journey.
Wow, so you think you'd go solo and then meet up with him?
I think I'd probably meet up with him and then go solo.
Okay. Well, as long as you two are aligned on your journey and where you go,
wow,
where you stay, that sounds like a great trip. But, nothing's worse than going on a trip and your travel partner is just like not what you expect.
No, that's very true. I do think that traveling can make or break a relationship.
100%. This past spring on my sabbatical, I went with one of my best friends from college who had briefly traveled before, but we were together for like 10 days in Europe and then met up with my sister, and both of them went fine, but like the way they travel is so different.
Yeah.
And it's really that open communication I found is key to not getting lost in a random city.
Speaking of alignment.
The segue. Today's guest is someone who definitely knows a thing or two about sales and marketing alignment and loves talking about it.
Yes. Heidi Darling is the Chief Marketing Officer for ROI DNA, a full-service digital marketing agency. And as a self-proclaimed account-based experience evangelist, Heidi knows a thing or two about what it takes to keep a conversation going, depending on who you're talking to, having the right conversation at the right place at the right time. So on this episode, Heidi's going to talk to us about how go-to-market teams can work together to keep the conversation moving. So let's get into it. All right, Heidi, thank you so much for coming on Conversation Starters.
It's so awesome to be here. Thank you for having us.
Of course. So before we get started, the podcast title is called Conversation Starter. So of course I have to ask you a conversation starter ourselves. So for today, the conversation starter, yes, exactly. Where is your dream vacation destination?
So many, so little time.
Yeah.
I'm going to say I went to Greece last year and I was blown away just by like the, depending on who you talk to, 400 to 1,000 different islands. And I felt like I just scratched the tip of that. So I would probably go back.
I would love to go to Greece. I'm a big tomato and feta person. So I feel like it's just meant to be. I have to go.
The food is bananas. Like you've got to get there.
Yeah. Awesome. So diving in, and before we get to the real nitty gritty, I would love to learn a little bit more about you and ROI DNA.
I've kind of grown up in the ranks of tech marketing, worked my way up. Most recently been kind of head of marketing or CMO, depending on the size of the startup. I helped take a robotics exoskeleton company public. So I've definitely spent most of my time in kind of tech innovator space. And I joined ROI DNA almost 3 years ago because I really believe that there is a new and emerging model for how we can go to market in a way that it's much more integrated and cohesive and delivers the most value for our clients and for our prospects, and for our clients and for their prospects. And so, ROI is it's a digital marketing agency with an ABX focus, and we really exist to scale enterprise companies, scale tech innovators. And the way that we do that is by making sure that we are able to have our clients are able to have the right conversation with the right people at the right time and keep that conversation going.
We definitely relate and resonate with that message, right place, right time, right conversations, especially, this podcast, this conversation starters. But just digging in a little bit more on the agency side, like what does it mean to be a full service digital agency?
Yeah, so I think what it means is we consider the entire journey, top of funnel, all the way through conversion, all the way through being a customer. And we believe in kind of going in and adding the most value where we can. And so typically that means, if we're starting at kind of the beginning of the go-to-market motion, then we'll develop go-to-market strategy, then we'll put a media plan in place. We'll make sure that the MarTech stack is set up correctly. We'll make sure that you've got all your right tech integrations so that you really can have the right conversation at the right time at the right place, and you can continue to have it even after you're a customer.
Mm-hmm.
And so what that means is essentially we offer kind of digital strategy, digital advertising, web design, SEO and content strategy and design, CRO, kind of business insight, data and reporting. So we do it all. And so when we say like we're a full stack or a full service digital marketing agency, that's what that means.
Awesome. And speaking of, right conversation, to get there, a lot of, what we see in terms of lead generation and pipeline, et cetera, to get there, you need to have really strong alignment between marketing and sales. And I think
Absolutely.
that a lot of companies do a really good job at this. And there's also a lot of obstacles there, in between those two teams and really being truly aligned. At ROI DNA, how do your sales and marketing teams really work together to create that effective messaging and communication?
Well, there's two things. I mean, ROI sales and marketing teams, we're hand in glove. I mean, we work side by
Mm-hmm.
side. We chat every day. We believe in delivering the most value. It's really
Mm-hmm.
about how we drive results for our clients.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's how ROI works together. But what I think might be more interesting for this conversation is how do we help our clients work together?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of things that go into that. I mean, first and foremost, like that is the reason that we are an ABX agency, is because that drives alignment, right? Like, let's face it, the, the marketing ecosystem, you could even say the business ecosystem has radically changed over the past 2 years. And everyone needs to be on the hook. I mean, I would say marketing might agree that we're increasingly on the hook for revenue numbers, right? Revenue KPIs. And that's not a bad thing, because if we're all marching towards the same KPIs, we're all reporting on pipeline numbers, then that's the thing we start to care about week after week after week. So that's one
Mm-hmm.
piece of it. The other piece of it, I think, that's really interesting in terms of like this sea change that we're in is because everything went digital, for the first time, we have access to this digital footprint of what went on to the sale from top of funnel all the way to closed won. And so, and we've got this proliferation of data that kind of runs across our entire org, and we can all look at it and say, oh, yes, we all see that that's what worked. So I think
Mm-hmm.
there's two things. I think, we're increasingly on the hook for the same KPIs. And we help our clients set those KPIs and set them up for success in that way. And then we are a data-driven agency. And so we really leverage data to help illuminate the full story and help to optimize from it.
Yeah. And with that data, what are you sort of looking at to change maybe your marketing or change your messaging?
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, we can look at which ads converted more. We can look at which audiences converted more. Um, Another thing that I neglected to mention before is just having sales and marketing work together on building out their target account lists, and
Mm-hmm.
tiering and segmenting is a huge point of alignment as well. And so we can look
Yeah.
at the data on audiences, we can look at data on time of day, we can look at data on where things get stuck in the funnel or in the pipeline. And so every single data point that we look at, we can also look at when we can identify when things are broken, when the tracking's broken,
Yeah.
and we can look at like, oh, there's no one moving past this. Well, that's a 404 error, which if you're using a chatbot, you deal less with. I think we look at data kind of at each point. We look at time
Yeah.
on page. We look at time that the video's viewed, whether it's 5 seconds or all the way through. We look at page depth, page scroll.
You mentioned target accounts. I'm curious, when you're creating that sort of ABX strategy and thinking about target accounts, how are you encouraging marketing teams to work with their sales teams to make sure that
Mm-hmm.
all of those efforts are really being followed up with?
Yeah, I mean, it's really about getting in a room and defining your ICP. What I
Mm-hmm.
see is so often, well, it's two things. It's defining your ICP, and then it's defining who's in your buyer committee. We know it's going to be between 10 and 20 people as part of that decision. And getting really specific with what each of those personas care about, and how to message to them, and how to deliver value to them at every step of the journey. And so um, when you can get sales and marketing, and I would even argue like some amount of customer success in the
Mm-hmm.
room, to say, actually, these people, we have greater pipeline velocity or higher percentage of close one, versus like, the G2000 or whatever, which we kind of like all joke is the wish list, like, right? We all
Yeah.
want those people, but like, what are the actual clients that make sense for you to go
Right.
after? And it's important to have focus. It's important to have 5 or 10 in your one-to-one approach. It's important to have 20 to 30 in your one to few, and however many on your one to many. So I think the importance of defining the ICP and the buying committee, and then getting really specific with why it makes sense for your specific value proposition.
Mm. Yeah. So finding the like what's in it for me for each of those people in the buying committee, which yeah,
Correct.
is huge these days. I mean, there are so many people in the room that you have to sell to. And for marketers, that means a change too, right? They have to really
Correct.
understand who may be in that buying committee and maybe change that ICP around as well.
And it's such a process of learning too, because
Mm.
so sales are in it every day, and
Mhm.
and marketing might have some hypothesis around what's happening, and we're all looking at the same data, so we're all pretty much on the same page. But then, like, for me, it's so important to hear from the sales team, they're getting stuck here every time, or this just isn't really resonating in the way that we thought it was,
Mhm.
or um, we thought the security vertical was really going to relate to this offering, but we're just not getting any traction. And so it's
Yeah.
that kind of constant back and forth of information that's so important too.
Yeah. Yeah, that relationship and that relationship building and having that trust there is so important. And then, like you said, I mean, as marketers, we have a lot of hypotheses and a lot of assumptions, and then relying on that data to sort of give us an ego check as well, right? Make sure that it's all actually working in motion. With that data and bringing different types of tools in, what type of tech stack are you recommending these days for people to have, for marketers and sales teams to
Mm-hmm.
sort of rely on?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's a great question. I mean, I think in part it's determined by the size of company that you are.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we're not a fan of over engineering, and we used to say that we are kind of technology agnostic, but we can no longer afford to be technology agnostic. There are some clear market leaders. Obviously, one of our premier partners is Drift. We absolutely need to have some sort of chatbot technology,
Mm-hmm.
because to be competitive by 2025, there's kind of universal agreement that you need to have a multi-service option. And um, and when you look at kind of extending lifetime value or building on lifetime value, you need to have an easy way for your customer, your client, to re-engage, to ask for tech support, to learn more about additional products, whatever. And so chatbot is really important for that. And it's also really important because it speeds some of the A/B testing, right? Like it accelerates your learning on what's working and what people are engaging with. The other piece of it is being able to have, there's with deprecation of cookies coming, with increased privacy measures, it's really important to have some sort of CDP, and that CDP can be built into a lot of other technologies. What's
Mm-hmm.
critical is that you have some sort of intent data and you have some sort of personalization strategy. So for us, and ability to leverage AI and insights, for us, that's absolutely Sixth Sense. They're kind of best of class. We recommend them. They're another one of our partners. We recommend them widely. And what goes hand in hand with the personalization is the ability to kind of personalize landing pages, personalize experiences in a machine learning kind of optimized way, which Mutiny does a great job. There's a couple companies that do a great job with that. To have some nurture, whether it's HubSpot or Marketo, wherever your company kind of falls as size of company. HubSpot's great. We use them. Marketo's great for larger companies. Let's see. Absolutely need to have first-party data integration. It's critical.
Interestingly, as you were talking through the tech stack, a lot of, insights, intent, personalization, it sounds like the real shift that marketers need to be making and make sure that their tech stacks can support is the buyer first sort of nature of how people are buying today, how many options people have today, and being able to cut through that noise.
It's a really good way of putting it, because at the end of the day, it is about building trust and delivering value. And the only way to do that with the varieties of levels of kind of being informed, and the variety of personas that you're talking to, and variety of ways in which someone can engage with you, you absolutely need to have all the insights, all the data insights on who this person is and what matters to them, and then be able to deliver it.
So you mentioned earlier ROI DNA, they're helping throughout the entire buying journey, from top of funnel all the way through to customers and care and advocacy. So once, let's say, you have this marketing campaign and it's drummed up excitement and you've worked with your sales team, and then sales has sort of gotten that meeting, let's say that first meeting. So now we're more in the middle of the funnel. What are some tactics that marketing can do to help sales push along that deal in that middle of funnel stage?
Yeah, there's a couple things. So, first of all, there's the types of content that marketing should be creating that really drive that middle of funnel conversion. So it's comparisons, it's assessments, because middle of funnel is all about, okay, now I'm aware of my pain. I know there's solutions. Why are you the solution for me? I want to learn more about, the solution. And so there's things like marketing can be surfacing related content about the solution they're exploring. They can be surfacing case studies. They can be surfacing blog articles, which blog articles can be kind of top of funnel, middle of funnel, depending on the type of content. They can be surfacing competitive assessments. They can be surfacing kind of testimonials or endorsements. So that's one piece of it. The other piece of it is making sure that marketing is surrounding more individuals at that company, because studies show that the more people you've connected with at a company that's considering your solution, the greater the likelihood is to go to closed won. Depending on the type of technology that you're dealing in, and it's either a scoring situation or a criteria situation. So there's some workflow or some automation built into that. Or there's just hey, they're asking for another case study on this, a success set on this topic. Do you have it? And we've got a repository of related content, a library of content that can help fill that gap or address that need.
Again, like that relationship building and having that trust between the two teams for the feedback and then actioning on the feedback. Once someone becomes a customer, how are your go-to-market teams working together to make sure you're having the right conversation with your customers at the right time?
I love that question. I mean, I think what's so exciting for me, and why I'm just pumped to wake up every day right now, is that it's really become an ecosystem. And every touch point that we have with our clients' customers or our own customers is in some way a marketing touch. And so whether, if you've been a customer for a year and your contract's about to expire, well, gosh, you got to make sure you get ahead of that by 2 or 3 months, right? And so there's a messaging cycle, an ad cycle that goes around improved features or benefits, or a special offer, or proof points of how well the solution worked for people at your company. If it's just that you want to validate the decision, it really is about considering the entire ecosystem and how to involve your PR and comms team into it, so that they make sure that, like, I signed my name on that, which put my career potentially at risk, or maybe made my career. And oh, look, Gartner Magic Quadrant leader. Oh, look, they just won an award. And so having that right amount of kind of brand air cover to validate the decision is critical. And then continuing to deliver value, whether it's, forming a customer advisory panel, whether it's the community marketing, whether it's just making sure that they're invited to all the premier events and getting education. I think marketing is involved throughout the entire life cycle.
Yeah. And it's been a great shift. I've been seeing a lot more like community marketing specific roles open up. I've been seeing that all over, and like customer advocacy roles. It seems like people are really understanding the importance of those relationships.
Absolutely.
Well, Heidi, thank you so much for chatting with us. If people want to connect with you or learn more about your work or ROI DNA, where can they go?
ROIDNA.com.
Awesome. Any final thoughts or anything we didn't get to?
No, I think, I'm so pumped for this time, because I think for the first time, marketing feels authentic. And that's a word that really is kind of at the core of my values. And I feel like we're authentically able to deliver things of value and have real conversations with real people. And it's in part, due to Drift technology. It's a crazy, amazing time to be in marketing.
I agree. I think that authenticity, it makes it a more fun place to be a buyer. It makes it a more fun place to be a marketer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much, Heidi. Have a great day.
Thanks so much for having us.
Well, I will certainly be following ROI DNA as we all enter this new phase of marketing, because it made me excited to see Heidi so excited about entering this authentic phase that she's so passionate about. And frankly, right, like BS marketing we're all going to see it and we're going to ignore it. So really excited for ROI DNA's next journey. And I loved what she said about what insights you can use to start getting us to that next phase, to be as authentic as possible with our customers.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think, like you said, we can all sort of spot, inauthentic messages, and also really relate to authenticity and trust authenticity. So on that note, we are going to keep that going, and we are going to have a solutions consultant at Drift come on and tell us how we can tell stories more authentically with our buyers.
Can't wait.
Thanks so much for listening to Conversation Starters. If you liked this episode, please leave us a 6-star review by clicking the link in the show notes, and hit subscribe so you never miss another one. You can connect with me on Twitter at Sammy Reinstein, and follow all of our shows at Drift Podcasts.